People still don't recognize us, but
we're contenders now.
Regular
kids.
What stuff?
Don't steal home without it.
Up your butt, Joe Boo.
It's a popcorn movie.
Welcome back to Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. I am Jamie G. Esquire the Fifth, and I've been called a wild thing in court on multiple occasions. I'm still paying the fine on one of those contempt charges, but I'm here with Magnum Mills and the Soup Deucer to talk about the classic sports movie Major League and a bunch of other stuff. Don't say we didn't warn you. It's right here in the name. Soup, I hope you've been doing well. And do you think sacrificing a live chicken could help the Bills' chances this season? I mean, I'm just asking.
That's a little off the wall, but diving into voodoo, I don't know. I mean, I'll almost take anything at this point. I think maybe not sacrificing a live chicken, maybe getting a bucket of chicken, eating the whole fucking thing, and then wearing the empty chicken bucket on my head all season might help better than sacrificing the live chicken. So we'll see, man. But I'm open to suggestions. So
I think that's the key, right? You send the DoorDash to the Bills locker room, but it's just the bucket of chicken.
Yeah,
just like in the flick. I think that's probably the way to go. And thank you for checking us out. I will warn you that if you just leave a shot of rum sitting around, given this crew might disappear on its own, but that's neither here nor there. And I guess I will try to introduce ourselves with a limerick because I do this sometimes.
Yeah.
That's something we do. And here we go. Just what can we do to have fun with you? I see we've got rum. Let's drink till it's done. Up your butt, Joe Boo. And thank you. Not up your butt, unless you like it that way. Whatever. We're doing the thing. And thank you for doing the thing that is Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com. Nice and easy to remember, just like those flaps. Flap the wings as hard as you can, keeps you in the air. Follow, like, and please subscribe. That's what gets us on the charts. We really appreciate it. So if you had fun, please remember the thumb. It's all we ask. Nice and easy. We won't ask too much for you, I swear.
Well, before we play ball, we need to address the holes in this house. Soup, what have you been filling your holes with since the last time?
my hole filling is a little bit thin, but I do have a couple, man. I was able to squeeze in a little bit of shit into my holes over the past week here or whatever. And as you all know, I have been, trying to find whatever footage and watch whatever footage from Fish's performance at the Sphere. That being said, I started watching the Dead and Company's performance at the Sphere, which was just recently, and I will say that they are not disappointing whatsoever. That is sick. What I've seen of that has just been outstanding, as good as what Fish did. Obviously, a different level of music and intensity and everything else, but for what the Dead do, there's no doubt in my mind that they were going to do it right. And from what I've seen so far, they are definitely did it right. So very interesting. If you're a fan, absolutely check it out if you haven't. I randomly watched a movie because I had mentioned it on the hype train, a couple episodes back or whatever, with the newer edition, which is a prequel to the movie Strangers. And I hadn't seen the second part, The Strangers 2. I'd seen the first one, so with Strangers 2 popped on my whatever, so I checked it out. It's called Pray at Night. It starts off where it took a long time to build up, because I think it kind of overdid it with the character development, because that these characters, it's a horror movie. These characters are either going to die or they're, there's only so many characters and they're going to mostly get killed off. So I think they spent too much time developing that. Aside from that, once the action starts on this fucking thing, man, it is intense as shit, dude. It was pretty impressive. But the most impressive thing about this movie was not only the soundtrack, but the usage of the soundtrack. The kill scenes and the way the music and the kill scenes went together was so well done. It was mind blowing, man. So it's one of the cooler usages of that I've seen in a very long time. So for that reason, I would definitely promote this movie. One scene in particular, one of the major scenes in the movie is the pool fight scene. And they must have spent a ton of money on the soundtrack too, but just the way the music goes in and out, like up and down through the water. When you go underwater, you can't hear. When you come up, you can. Things like that. It was just put together very well, and I was pleasantly surprised with that, man. And all in all, pretty good movie. Starts slow, but if that's the kind of thing you're into, I recommend checking it out. And I'm again looking forward to the third installment here coming up soon.
Nice. Pray at Night. You said what streaming joint is that on?
It's either going to be Prime or Hulu because
Okay.
it's got to be one of those two.
Nice.
Soup, what was the name of that again?
Pray at Night.
Stranger, yeah,
Oh,
Pray at Night, Strangers 2.
the sequel to Strangers. Pray at Night. That Pray at Night sounds like a good name for the sequel to a movie called
Yeah, that
Strangers.
was very cool.
Let's be honest there. I will say just a couple of easy things. I am current with Hacks on HBO. I've watched all 6 episodes. Very good, right up there, same quality as season 1 and 2. There are 3 episodes left in the season. I'm not really wild. This show they drop on like Thursday nights and they do 2 at a time. And this season there's 9, so there'll be like kind of the one odd week where there's the 1 episode. But I'm not a huge fan of this. I guess I really like the weekly amount of more, just something to note. And then Amazon Prime, I'm still going to call them that, and they make you pay extra for the non-ad joint anymore. I'm going to talk about that a bunch, but I watched season 2 of Outer Range. That's the Josh Brolin. He owns a ranch and there's a giant hole in the ground, and I can't really say much else without spoiling it. It's a good cast, but it's like trying to split the baby between like being a mystery box show that we know this day and age where you want answers and shit, and then like a David Lynchian kind of thing. Like it really desperately wants to be like a prestige version of Twin Peaks. It doesn't pull it off. It's not necessarily bad, but I was hoping for more. You had to wait like 2 years between season 1 and 2. Like Josh Brolin, good cast, looked really cool. They spent a bunch of money on it. It's not bad or anything. I was just hoping for a bit more. Jamie G, what have you been filling your holes with?
That's awesome, Mills. Thank you for that. Soup, great recommendations. As everyone knows, I've been on kind of a campaign with it's this weird thing with like I'm mad at Fargo the show for putting the it's based on a true story thing, even though it's not in front of every episode. I get that they're paying homage or whatever to the movie, but like the movie wasn't either, and that totally ruins it. But that said, I'm really enjoying season 5, just like I did season 1 and 3. And 2 was okay as well. This season 5 is shaping up to be my favorite season. Maybe season 1 will edge it out depending on how it ends, but it's been really, really, really good and enjoying that a lot. Also, just shout out to other sports that aren't football. It's been nice to check out the NBA and the NHL playoffs. Ton of fun on both. Been watching them, enjoying them, enjoying DraftKings and just being able to bet on some of these and having some fun with it. It's been a lot of fun. And then lastly, I've been filling my ear holes with Tab Spring Tour. Talk to Soup about this off camera. Trey Anastasio band, they were so awesome for a long time because they had the horns. After James Casey died, phenomenal saxophone player and musician, died of cancer. It was tragic. Trey's been going on tour without the horns, dude, and it's just the original 4 here, and they have been phenomenal. They are so in tune. It's different than Fish, but it's equally as awesome. Really enjoying this spring tour. It's been absolutely fire.
Nice. So when you say Tab, that's what you mean, Trey Anastasio band, and it's basically an offshoot of Fish with just Trey and then other dudes, basically. Just for the people who don't, necessarily know all the Fish, but want to know because I wasn't quite sure when he said. I thought you may be talking about the beverage tab. So it's like in Back to the Future. And he goes, "Oh, no, give me a tab. I can't give you a tab unless you order something."
How about a Pepsi free? Hey, you want a Pepsi? You're going to pay for it,
Yeah,
pal.
you're gonna pay for it, pal.
Yeah, you're paying
Next thing
for
you
it.
know, the janitor is gonna be mayor. All chaos will be breaking loose. I will say that I did check out Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, and it was fine. It just didn't. The worst thing I could say is like nothing will really stick with you after you watch it. It was a little bit overstuffed, definitely. A couple too many plot lines and characters. It was kind of trying to straddle the line between being a sequel and kind of a new thing. I don't think anybody was bad. Just it needed somebody in the script, the editing room, something like that, that trimmed it down a little bit. You can watch it, you'll have a good time. It's a Ghostbusters movie, but like a week from now, you probably won't remember anything about it. And it is what it is. That's how a lot of flicks are. And then finally, shout out Guy Ritchie, because he put out this the Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare. And this is actually, Jamie G, you would love this, kind of based on a true story, Operation Postmaster from World War II. And this is kind of what famously Ian Fleming, the dude who writes James Bond, participates in it. And they actually like bring this into the movie. So theoretically, this movie is like an origin story, like the stuff James Bond does is based on the guys you see in this movie, kind of. And it's really cool. And because it was I watched it, and then as I was watching it, I remembered I really don't remember the last couple of Guy Ritchie flicks. So I went back and rewatched The Gentleman. And that's the one that with Matthew McConaughey, and it really wants to be Snatch. It's not quite Snatch, but it is really cool. And Netflix put out a series for it that was fairly well regarded. Guy Ritchie directed a couple of the episodes. I wanted to check that out. So I figured now that I've seen the other joint, I would go back, check this out. And I actually liked it a lot better on rewatch. It's not quite Snatch, but it is are really good. You definitely have to pay attention. You know, it's got that Snatch aspect with it is a little bit twisty, and they mess around with the narration and everything like that. But I enjoyed both of those. I liked The Gentleman. I didn't love it, but I almost guarantee you I'll like it better on the rewatch. So I think both those Guy Ritchie joints are worth checking out.
Cool. I like that. I'm get into that.
That's awesome, dude. Great call on that. And what is that? Oh, I think I hear the Quad City DJs. That means it's time for the hype train. I'm gonna ride it. Mills, what's coming out soon that you're hyped about?
Well, obviously you have House of the Dragon season 2, The Boys season 4. You have The Bear season 3. You have the final season of What We Do in the Shadows. So a lot of that, but outside of that, I'm going to go with something random. It's a Presumed Innocent. It's a series on Apple TV based on a novel. There was actually a movie about it in the, I think it was probably 1990 on the nose, as I say, late 80s, early 90s. Harrison Ford, Raul Julia, Brian Dennehy. Very cool. I remember always thinking that was an underrated flick. I don't know if they can squeeze a whole series out of it. I don't think it's going to be a multiple season thing. I just think it's a limited series. I think there's a bunch of cool stuff. Jake Gyllenhaal, but especially Ruth Negga. I've always loved her. Soft spot in my heart for Preacher and everything. So I'm willing to take a shot on it. Apple TV's generally been pretty good to me. I've enjoyed a lot of their stuff. So I'm going to take a chance on Presumed Innocent. I'm going to presume that it's decent. Jamie G, what are you hyped about?
Dude, give me Hot D, The Boys. I'm even a little bit borderline excited about The Bear season 3. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it was entertaining to me. Excited to hear you guys talk about it. But dude, I gotta go with Woody Harrelson's new project, Fly Me to the Moon. Oh, and I'm not talking about Frankie Blue Eyes. I'm talking about Fly Me to the Moon, coming out July 12th. Really cool, kind of space race, Cold War shit, United States, Soviet Union. This is a time frame I love. I was a huge fan of the Americans. Not that this is going to go in that route, but just anything Cold War. I mean, dude, that's my birth. Like that's what I've known as Cold War. Was born into the thing. Excited about this one, man. Should be cool. Excited. Got Ray Romano joining there. Haven't seen Ray Romano in years. Woody Harrelson again. Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum. Bunch of good dudes in this. Good actors, actresses. Excited about it.
Nice. I like that. And I've also been, the Apple TV has another good one of those, kind of the space race story. Hulu's put one out. So those are always good times. Soup, what are you hyping about?
Outside of the obvious, Boys, House of Dragon, The Bear, and
There's three things that are all coming out within like 2 weeks of each other, because why the hell
yeah,
not?
and another one that's coming out at the same time is the
The
season
Shorzy, right?
Shorzy, which I am so stoked about. I know you guys haven't seen that yet, but it's yeah, I mean it's one of my all-time favorites. I love that. I love Shorzy, so definitely looking forward to that. But outside of that realm, man, my random right now is something Billy Corgan did. And those of you who don't know who Billy Corgan is, you probably know who Smashing Pumpkins are. I've always been a huge fan of Billy Corgan, arguably my favorite lyricist of all time.
Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins.
Homer Simpson, smiling politely. My kids think you're the greatest.
big fan ever since the '90s when they came out, man, and I just love everything this guy does. And apparently, he bought the NWA, the wrestling shit. So now he owns wrestling, and he made a documentary about him owning wrestling. So it's called Billy Corgan's Adventures in Carneyland. It's already out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. I don't think it's going to be a banger, but it's Billy Corgan, and I think it'll be interesting enough, you know. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Nice. That was not even on my radar. So thanks for bringing that up. That's very cool. Disarm me with a smile and a random wrestling show.
Cleveland rocks, but so does the dude. And we need to connect us dudes to the dude with 6 Degrees of Lebowski. Mills, please, we beg you, connect Major League to the Big Lebowski via the dude himself, Jeff Bridges.
All right. This one's pretty easy, I feel. In Major League, Rene Russo plays Lynn Wells. In Free Jack, Rene Russo played Julie Redlin, and Emilio Estevez played Alex Furlong. In Young Guns 2, Emilio Estevez played William H. Bonney, while Christian Slater played Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh. In Tucker, The Man in His Dream, Christian Slater played Junior, and Jeff Bridges played Preston Tucker. And Jeff Bridges is the dude.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah, dude, you know what? You even got Soups Guy in there. I'm going to give you your due. I think you need to work for this one, though. Link Major League using a musician and the star of one of the movies that you've already covered.
That's very specific, but okay. In Major League, Wesley Snipes plays Willie Mays Hayes. In Michael Jackson's Bad, Wesley Snipes played Minnie Max, while Michael Jackson played Daryl. In Moonwalker, Michael Jackson played Michael. In Joe Pesci played Mr. Big. In Gone Fishing, Joe Pesci played Joe Waters, and Rosanna Arquette played Rita. In Pulp Fiction, Rosanna Arquette played Jody, and Ving Rhames played Marcellus Wallace. And in Bringing Out the Dead, Ving Rhames played Marcus, and John Goodman played Larry. And John Goodman is no Larry; he is a Walter.
I think it's 6. I think he used all 6 of those degrees. And I'll give you credit, Mills. I was sure you were going to go with Donnie somewhere in there. And you know what? Good job. We've got the dude, we've got Walter, but we've got no Donnie. That makes them sad. It makes everybody sad. So why don't you give us one more with Donnie? Do your best to surprise us, but we understand that Steve Buscemi has appeared in over 20,000 movies and shows.
All right, I think you're going to be disappointed, even if you are surprised. In Major League, Wesley Snipes plays Willie Mays Hayes. In King of New York, Wesley Snipes plays Thomas Flanagan, while Steve Buscemi plays Test Tube, and Steve Buscemi is Donnie. And to be fair, I don't think that's what you meant by surprise, so here you go. And I guess I'll do this one backwards, like President Scrooge's ass after he gets beamed. In The Big Lebowski, Steve Buscemi plays Donnie. In Season 5, Episode 3 of Tales from the Crypt, titled Forever Ambergris, Steve Buscemi plays Ike, while Roger Daltrey plays Dalton. In Season 3, Episode 22 of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Roger Daltrey guest starred as Taz, while Terry Hatcher starred as Lois Lane. In Season 4, Episode 19 of Seinfeld, Terry Hatcher played Sidra Holland.
And by the way, they're real and they're spectacular.
In that episode, Tony Amendola played Rushdie. In Season 3, Episode 5 of LA Law, Tony Amendola guest starred as bartender, and Corbin Burnson starred as Arnie Becker, and in Major League, Corbin Burnson stars as Roger Dorn.
Even me?
Even you, Dorn.
Backwards Lebowski, dude. That is sick. Backwards down the Lebowski line, dude.
I guess you've technically done what I asked here, but you're not reading between the lines. It's like you're listening to Jimmy, but you're not hearing Jimmy. I don't know that you can hear Jimmy. Do you know what I'm saying here, Mills?
To paraphrase Butters from South Park, I would know what you were saying better if you actually told me what you want.
The Sopranos. I want you to finally use The Sopranos for once and for all. Just is that too much to ask? Just use The Sopranos.
Why don't you just ask? All right, that same thing. I guess we got to go back to front here. In Season 5, Episode 3 of The Sopranos, Steve Buscemi plays Tony Blundetto, and Frank Vincent plays Phil Leotardo. In Belly, Frank Vincent played Roger, while DMX played Tommy Buns. In Exit Wounds, DMX played Latrell Walker and Bruce McGill played Frank Daniels. In The Last Boy Scout, Bruce McGill played Mike Matthews and Chelsea Ross played Senator Bayard. In Major League, Chelsea Ross played Eddie Harris. Up your butt, Joe Boo. In yours too, Jamie G.
All right. Before we can move the team to Miami, we have to watch the movie or maybe just grab a couple of beers in Cleveland and see what happens. Mills, hit us with the details, please and thank you.
As far as the details for the last time I hit Cleveland, I had a couple of beers. I have no recollection of that. But as far as this flick, it is Major League, directed by David S. Ward, written by David S. Ward, produced by Chris Chesser and Irby Smith. Cinematographer was Ronaldo Villalobos, and edited by Dennis M. Hill. Music by James Newton Howard. Originally released April 7th, 1989, had a budget of $11 million, upon which it made $75 million at the United States box office, starring Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, Corbin Burnson, Margaret Whitten, James Gammon, Wesley Snipes, Dennis Haysbert, Renee Russo, and Bob Uecker. The short plot synopsis is: when a former showgirl inherits a Major League Baseball team from her dead husband, she wants to move the team to Miami. But the only way she can do it is to make the team so terrible that nobody will watch them. She recruits a collection of has-beens and never-will-be's to accomplish just that. But unfortunately for her, she might have assembled the one team that can break Cleveland's baseball curse.
Right on. So this is going to be a full-on spoiler discussion of Major League. Classic flick from back in the day when we were all younger, man. It's good for that. I love that. Anyway, we'll get into that later, and it's gonna be a full-on spoiler of Major League and possibly the sequels and other sports movies, man. So we could also mention shit like who knows, The Last Boy Scout or Slapshot or something. So anyway, whatever's at play, man, you've been warned, so don't say that we did not give you a heads up on this one, man. Poor.
I guess we should provide a little context before we dive into the movie, starting with baseball. Where are you guys at with baseball? Do you follow it at all? Do you enjoy playing it? Anybody in a beer drinking softball league? That would be very cool. I would like an invite. You like guys going to games, like live baseball? What's up? What do you feel like? Soup, where are you at?
I love baseball. I really do, man, and I love it mostly because it's a childhood nostalgic thing for me, man. I mean, we all grew up playing baseball. I know that because I've played it with both of you guys. You know, it reminds me of a simpler time, and it's awesome. Do I sit around and watch baseball? No, it's kind of hard for me to watch unless I'm at a game. That's a lot more fun. And I used to enjoy going to games. Minor league games where I'm from was a cool thing, right in downtown Buffalo there. But yeah, going to them is cool. Watching them on TV unless it's the playoffs or something. I mean, it's not the most exciting sport to watch, but it is what it is. And baseball was just always something that even if we weren't like, if it wasn't baseball season or whatever, we still always went out and played baseball, dude. When in doubt, you could always do that. You throw a tennis ball up against your front steps, man, and play catch with it. You know, there's ways to do things with baseball. So it is one of those staples in life for me. Always had a soft spot for it, and will always love that sport. Do I play it still? No. If I had the opportunity to do it, yeah, I probably would, man. I'd probably get involved. But yeah, and as far as baseball movies goes, there's a ton of them out there that I enjoy, and I'm sure we'll get into talking about some of those later on. So yeah, baseball's huge for me, man.
That's cool. Jamie G, where are you at as opposed to, I know you enjoy maybe throwing a couple bucks on baseball, but anything outside of that?
Do enjoy that. Love going to see live baseball. Living in a city where there is live baseball is a ton of fun. Try to get to games. It's just take me out to the ball game, bro. The Sandlot. Like you can just say all these things that just like reiterate what baseball means. And I think it's important to remember a time before the NFL became the overarching sports god, right? Like the NFL has separated itself from any other sport in terms of popularity and awesomeness and ease to watch, but it wasn't always that way. There was a time when baseball was America's favorite pastime and a sport, and we grew up during that, dude. Just playing rundown, dude, where it's just two dudes throwing balls and everybody's
Little
trying to
pick
run
on the
back and
middle,
forth and
dude.
get.
Little pick on the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like this is just fun stuff with baseball. Big fan. I don't watch it unless I'm live. Love to bet on it. Love to go see it. Incredible to play. Sign me up for a softball league today. I'm in. Speaking of which, producer, can we get the shot of Josh Allen just like crushing home runs at Micah Hyde's charity game? Like Josh
Oh,
Allen
because I'm
just
sure
crushing
that
them.
it's obviously readily available. And I also enjoy baseball. I do follow it fairly closely. I will say that I slack off in the early months, and then in September, that's when I just basically follow the Yankees and hope they're doing their thing. But June, July, August, even the end of May, there when the other sports start tailing off, love me some baseball. Where are y'all at, kind of on sports movies in general? I am a huge fan of sports movies. I would say that Major League is one of my favorite sports movies. It's probably my favorite baseball themed sports movie. Jamie G, where are you at kind of on sports movies in general? And where does Major League kind of rank in the pantheon, you think, just generally?
I love sports movies. Again, you get those moments where it's just like you're in it. Foo Fighters, who there goes my hero playing in the background. Yes, I'm doing a Varsity Blues things, but you get my point. And dude, it's absolutely, I love them. I love it for that. One thing I love about what Major League did is they took comedy and a super solid rated R comedy at that, and they brought it into a sports movie. And you think of that quintessential scene of Jake Taylor like hauling ass, and you get that music playing in the background that's like somewhat melancholy. Like, is it good? Is it bad? You don't know, dude. That's what sports movies are all about, and it's so much fun and it's awesome.
Good point on how much the sound design and music can impact sports movies. Think about the Rocky theme and how much that plays
Yeah.
into that and that kind of stuff. So that's a very salient point. And Soup, kind of any thoughts over here on sports movies and where does Major League kind of rate as far as the baseball sports movies and sports movies in general?
Where I mean, I love sports movies. I love comedy movies. So you combine the two, and it's probably a home run. Or at least
Nice metaphor. I see what you did there. That was beautiful.
So anyway, man, yeah, huge fan of most sports movies, man. And there's a lot of baseball movies out there. I mean, there's movies like A League of Their Own that I absolutely love, which is more of a dramedy comedy or whatever movie. And then there's like The Last Boy Scout, which is more of an action thriller kind of sports
That's a
movie.
football movie. I don't even know if that's baseball, but that is a
Well,
sports movie.
all right, well,
It's
fair
a
enough.
it's a tangent. The
It's
Last Boy
sports.
Scout is a sports movie, like Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Probably, I feel that's a fair.
All right, well,
analogy, right?
let me throw a couple other let me throw a couple other balls out there at you, man. Maybe these will be strikes here. How about Bull Durham? How about Field of Dreams? Things like this.
Both
Okay,
really high. Yeah, I love both of those.
are they comedies?
Yeah.
Maybe Bull Durham a little bit. Field of Dreams not so
Yeah,
much,
Bull
but
Durham's got a little comedy, but
a little bit. But I wouldn't. Either way, man, great movies. You mentioned earlier Sandlot, great movie. Definitely a nostalgic childhood kind of movie. You just can't go wrong, dude. I mean, throw one on, you can't go wrong, man. I love them.
Rudy, bro, Rudy. I know
Yeah,
that's
I
a
mean, if
football
we get
joint,
into
but like,
sports movies, yeah, Rudy's in there. I will say, as far as baseball stuff, The Natural always has like a little
yeah.
place in my heart. Yeah, just
dude,
it's a little
Angels
bit
in
of
the
a slower
outfield,
one.
bro.
Well, that's from our age group.
Angels
I was
in
going
the
to say
outfield.
for
Yeah, that's a
the
good one,
three
too.
for our age group, there's three flicks I would say, and that's The Sandlot, Angels in the Outfield, and Rookie of the Year.
I want to throw A League of Their Own in there, man. I feel
Well,
like
League of the mid-90s. Those are kind of the 90s baseball movies, I feel, right? And I liked all of them kind of to varying degrees. Even
and of
Angels in the
course,
Outfield is like
Major
super
League.
cheesy and everything. We've got Christopher Lloyd, Tony Danza, great cast again, Rookie of the Year, Daniel Stern, dude from American Pie. That's key, right? Great cast. And I think,
Yeah.
that's apparent in Major League. Uh, I pitched this one. I love it. I can't really say anything other than like, if it's on, I'll watch it.
We've established where we're at here with sports movies, and let's get to Major League here. I want to hear your overall thoughts about Major League. This was definitely your baby, dude, and obviously we voted for it because we were in. But tell us why you nominated it, and if it held up for you when you rewatched it.
I mean, it held up like a atlas on the back of whatever you want it to be. I will watch this anytime it's on. I will watch it to completion. I'll just never turn it off. It's not maybe the perfect movie. Maybe you can nitpick a little bit, but I enjoy it completely. I enjoy all the jokes. I still laugh at them. I get chills at the end. It's well made, especially for a sports movie. There's no CGI here. You have live crowds. You have Dennis Haysbert as Serrano actually hitting home runs. Wesley Snipes actually running. I think it all shows up on film. The cast is perfect. Even the movie's a little bit precedent about how teams want to move, how ownership really works. Honestly, the only thing that's maybe even out of date that doesn't hold up is the fact that Major League Baseball looks a lot different now. They've added a lot of teams, they've reshuffled the divisions. The Cleveland Indians aren't even the Cleveland Indians anymore, they're the Cleveland Guardians. So I think that's actually the only thing that isn't held up is actually reality. So maybe it's not a perfect film, but god damn, is that a great sports movie and a hell of a movie in its own right.
Dude, I'll have to totally agree with you on pretty much all of that, man. I love this movie. Not only does it remind me of being younger and watching it, even when I was, underage to be watching rated R movies, it was one of those that, hey, man, I'm watching a rated R movie. It's awesome. And I thought everything about it was funny. And it holds up to this day, even though some of the shit's outdated, like you said, with the team not even being the name and how things have changed or whatever, but it holds up like the Statue of Liberty holds up the torch, dude. That shit ain't going nowhere, man.
Oh, even the
This
statue in
Major League.
Cleveland, right? When he's holding up the, you see that in all the cities when they have the statue and they're doing good, and they do that in multiple cities. It was a movie made by a Cleveland fan who wanted to pour his heart out because he said, like, this is maybe the only way I'll ever see the Indians win. And to this day, they've still kind of struggled, and they've gotten to the World Series 3 times since then and lost all 3 times, I believe twice in game sevens. So it's just particularly brutal. And I mean, I don't even want to be that guy, but y'all are Buffalo Bills fans, and that's another tortured fan base. So on some level, you have to like at least sympathize with these fans, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. But even outside of that, as far as yeah, and that's a good point, dude. But as far as the movie goes, it's a classic for me, and I don't really see anything wrong with this movie. It's enjoyable from beginning to end. Like you said, anytime it comes on, I'll check it out. And it was great on the rewatch. I had not seen it in a bit of time, so I'm glad it came around. The only thing I'm not 100% like super high on is the Rene Russo drama with Berenger and shit. I could have done without that, but a movie needs a little bit of drama, I guess. So that was the only.
Well, and a little of a romantic plot line. And that's one of those things that, to give some context, that originally at the end of the movie, it ended with their wedding. So that was kind of a bigger plot line. So it was going to be a payoff. And then after they kind of watch it with other audiences, they just kind of wanted to focus on the team. So that's kind of why they dropped it the way they did, which makes sense. But yeah, definitely my least favorite plot line. But it's a movie that definitely does its job very, very well. Even when it comes to hitting the curveball, Jamie G hit the breaking ball for us.
Yeah, look, man, I think that it's staged so well. The characters are done so well. It moves along, and it gives you a ton, like a good mix of like the action, like the in moment sports stuff is incredible in this movie. It's completely underrated. People don't talk about it. When you watch a Rocky, very few of it is those actually epic moments in the ring. Like this has a lot of like actual sports moments that are awesome, dude. Obviously, it culminates at the end with them facing the Yankees for the whole thing, but like I think they did a great job on that. And I'll just say that like this movie was the reason why I liked the Cleveland Indians growing up, and continue to root for them and continue to. So very cool stuff here for me.
Everyone remembers those teams, right? In the 90s, you had Omar Vizquel, Albert Bell, Kenny Lofton.
I remember the
those are
CC Sabatha, the CC team, like like
yeah,
definitely.
well, because he came up with them and then they traded him to the Brewers. But they tried it. It's funny because they lost in the 90s to the Braves. And everyone remembers that great 90s Braves dynasty. That was the only championship they won, was over the Cleveland Indians in 96, I believe. So the fact that Margaret Phelps is behind her desk rocking a 1948 championship logo and still rocking that feels kind of sad on some level, right? When your fan base has to dig back that far, that it's tortured, and they made a whole movie about it. And this is that movie, and it's got to be great catharsis, because if they made this movie about the Buffalo Bisons or whatever, y'all would definitely feel that. And I think it did a great job of representing Cleveland fans, and obviously there should be a Cleveland classic.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And Cleveland really is I don't know, they've had a really, really tough run and with all sports over there, I mean, except for maybe basketball.
Yeah,
But
people took the Browns away. You know what I mean?
right,
Like the
yeah.
Browns literally got taken away. They were one of the few cities that had a franchise snatched away from them. So
And the movie does a good job kind of showing that during that open. First of all, that great opening song of going to Cleveland, and then just the way
Randy
they
Newman,
deliver
dude,
it
Randy
kind
Newman.
of shows you. It kind of shows you just kind of the depressed nature of the area in general. It's kind of like that old Rust Belt. That's what it is. But
Yeah, they can use real newspaper headlines. That's when you know that it's bad because they can actually just show reality. You don't need to use dramatic license. Reality is bad enough. You can just show reality, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that sucks." And this was 30 years ago.
yeah, it's crazy. I guess it makes sense here to start at the beginning. And they do an excellent job of both setting the stage and introducing the characters. I mean, I kind of dipped into it here a little bit, but they really do a nice job kind of introducing the stage and the environment and what's at stake. But then the immediate, like, here are your key characters. I think that's awesome. That runs for basically the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, all the introductions are great. Like you said, the whole idea, the opening 3 minutes or so, the whole credit sequence is just designed to get us inside of the head of the Cleveland fans. And you meet a kind of like just a different group of characters. I think there's like three different groups, and they keep coming back throughout the movie, which I think is a very good job because it links us to the actual fan base. And then you get the introduction to Rachel Phelps, who is the owner here, the showgirl wife. You can go a bunch of different ways. This is a little bit the owner of the Reds, kind of the same thing, was regarded as a gold digger when a younger showgirl married an older guy, that kind of thing. I will ask you, do you either of y'all have any idea what the original ending of this movie was? It came out on the DVD. No one really knew about it, but the original ending was quite different than the regular ending. Either of y'all have any idea what it is?
I'm
I
gonna have to
don't, Mills.
I'm gonna have to go with no on that because I don't.
Originally, it's on the DVD. It came out in the early 2000s or whatever. Apparently, the movie was supposed to end that Rachel Phelps, this was her whole plan. Like, she knew that they were screwed, couldn't get anybody come to watch them, so she created this whole narrative about like being terrible and like deliberately did all this. So it was all her plan.
So you're
It's
saying
kind of weird, right? But it makes like when you watch her scenes in the movie, they play a little bit different if this is somehow like her super secret plan. So that is kind of weird. And same thing, kind of how it ended with Jake and Lynn getting married. So they definitely did some revisions to the script on the fly, but it's kind of wild that the original idea was she didn't actually think she could get the attendance low enough. So she just came up with this, like, she was ahead of sabermetrics. She did Moneyball like 12 years before Billy Bean or something, is basically the plan. Well, like 8 years. But
interesting. That would have changed a lot of things, about that movie and about the sequel as well. So
yeah, the audience didn't like it, so they just liked it better when she was the villain. So they kind of reshot it for that end scene where Charlie, like the GM, like gives her the whole raspberry and all that kind of stuff. But it definitely makes the flick play out a little bit differently if you think about it in that context. Like some of the scenes where she plays it a little bit differently, you can't tell. At the beginning, I know it's like one of those trail lines when they're looking at the guys on the sheet, like, this guy's dead. We'll cross him off then. It's
yeah,
not quite Marissa Tomei in My Cousin Vinny, but it's a good line. I'm pretty sure it was in the trailer.
yeah. Kind of vicious, kind of cutthroat. But
Well, dude, how about the introduction? She gives a list of names, right? They call the guys. How about the introduction to the guys, like the various places they get the phone
oh, I
calls?
love it. I mean, Wild Thing, Rick Vaughn, who's in jail. I don't know if I can make it by March or whatever. I mean,
I might, yeah, I might not make it by then. Yeah, that's awesome,
and
dude.
then Berenger's character is like passed out with some chick in Mexico or something.
Got the sombrero on, dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a classic one.
I like that. I like bringing characters in like that, kind of one at a time, giving a loose, yeah, like, here's what this guy's doing. And all you need is one scene to explain. Like, wow, okay,
But they
that's
nail it on every single one, though. Even the coach, right? He's like, "I'll call you back. I'm not sure if I want to." Like, they just every single one
right.
nails it, dude. Like they
Yep.
just that's really impressive.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Now that we've set the scene and met the players, it's time to play ball. What did you dudes think about all the spring training stuff? Did this work for you? Was it funny? Like, where were you at with it?
Well, I will say this, another thing, which is kind of almost like it's almost like the second introduction to these to the characters or whatever, is when they start showing up for the spring training, and it's like, here and you got the two guys standing there and explaining, oh, here's so and so, here's so and so, a little bit of this, and then here comes Wild Thing Rip Vaughn, and he's got the garbage bag, he's got all just grimy,
All stuff in the garbage bag, dude. Yeah.
and then just look at this fucking guy, I mean, that sets the tone for like exactly what he's gonna be like the entire time, and I just thought that was great, and they all showed up in the style of the character they were going to be and portray perfectly.
Yeah, everything about the scene where they're greeted at training camp, it's like look, don't tell, right? Show, don't tell, the great writing thing. Everything you need to know about these characters almost you get in their initial introductions, right? Like Jake shows up like real casual in a taxi.
Yeah, you don't need a
cab.
backstory.
Rick
You
shows up
kinda
on a
get it.
motorcycle. Willie Mays Hayes shows up in a suit that looks fancy, but that's not. He's actually driving, I believe, a Volkswagen Bug with a kit that makes it look like a Rolls Royce. And then
Yeah.
you have Dorn, who shows up in like an Excalibur, like a very expensive like Rolls Royce knockoff, wearing like golf clothes, carrying golf clubs. Serrano shows
Yeah.
up all in black. It's perfect. And
It
even
explains
just
every
the
character.
Lou at the end, like looking at my kind of team, like he likes
Right.
it. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
one of the best parts is
It's
dude,
great.
Lou Brown is secretly the best character. He holds this all together.
Great
James
character,
Gammon as
dude.
Lou Brown is he's perfect, right? You never for 1 second question that he's a baseball manager. Like
Oh,
if I
yeah,
just saw him
absolutely.
in the Yankees dugout, I'd be like, oh sweet. R.I.P. James Gammon, but dude, he is so
Yeah.
good.
One thing
He
I will
is
add to this is not only did Wild Thing show up on the motorcycle, he showed up on the back of a motorcycle while other dudes other dude
You're right.
drives
The
up.
trash bag too is great. I thought it was a sack. I gave him credit for being a cloth sack, and then I looked at it again. I'm like, no, that's just a trash bag.
That's legit. I mean, it would be straight Tommy Boy if he had it duct taped up like he did, but it's still awesome.
Yeah, and I mean all the kind of little introduction stuff. We don't get much of it. Like you get the veg head thing, and that's the one thing because if you don't understand like Vegemite, like that's probably the one joke that might be just like slightly dated. But other than that, everything pretty much works. The whole hat for bats thing is great with Serrano, especially because like Dorn's acting all tough to Vaughn. And Vaughn, oh yeah, he's a pussy. Like when he walks away, oh yeah, rookie, yeah, whatever. And then Serrano shows up. He's like, okay, you can take my head covers.
Oh yeah, he just snatches the golf
Keep
thing.
bats warm.
Yep.
And Dorn won't even like say anything. He just like quietly like takes his clubs out of the way. They do a good job of setting everything up. It's a very, very well written movie. And the whole idea that Willie Mays Hayes shows up uninvited and then they carry him out still sleeping on his bed and then set him next to the gate, right? They don't even like take him far away. They don't wake him up. They just bring him out on the bed, leave him the sheets and everything.
Uniform.
That is great though, right? Again, the sound design is awesome. When they kind of drop it down, they bring the music in, the slow-mo, and the other actors shout out their face acting, the two dudes that are actually trying to run for the Cleveland, and they just kind of look like, oh wow, this guy's going so much faster than us. And yeah, Wesley Snipes makes it look good, but I mean, I just remember loving that when I was a kid. It was just so awesome.
Yeah, apparently during the making of this movie, Wesley Snipes can't throw a baseball worth of shit. So you never in the movie actually see him throw
It's
a
funny
baseball.
because it was the same thing in White Men Can't Jump. He's a dude who's like really athletic, but he never played organized sports really. So he's athletic, but so he can run fast and like jump high and everything, but he has like no real coordination for that.
Probably
He
can't
never
dribble
just-
for shit. Yeah.
Exactly. That was a major problem in White Man Can't Jump. But he was fast enough to like pull it off and make it look good. He can definitely run like that, but I really enjoyed everything like that, and I thought that was just all absolutely great. I mean, everybody is, just great for the most part here. I don't even really know like what else you can say about it. Like you said, get this guy uniform, and then we get to the point like, all right, now spring training starts. Again, I think they do a great job of the way they set everything up because they just give us a couple scenes, and in those couple scenes, you find out everything you need to know, right? Like Jake's knees are bad. Willie pops everything up. He needs to put it on the ground. Vaughn has no control. Serrano can't hit a curveball. It's a really great job of a flick. If they set everything up you need to know in like 90 seconds without saying a word, really. Like, yeah, Lou gets a couple words in, but beautiful setup. Like, you don't have to worry about it too much. You understand exactly who all these dudes are almost immediately. And again, I talked about Lou Brown being the MVP. When Dorn bitches and comes up with his contract and Lou pisses on it, that is just,
Yeah.
I mean, you almost wish now I can see sports fans calling into sports radio shows being like, I wish they would do that. Like, I hate this overpaid guy. I wish the manager would piss on his contract. And you're just, Lou Brown just does it.
If
And he
only
stares
times.
at like complete alpha moment too, right? He stares at Dorn while he's doing it.
Right.
He's like, what are you
Oh
gonna
yeah,
say?
he's awesome for sure. He's got like the perfect voice for it too. Like it's not like super loud, not like, but he's got that, like, you're paying attention.
Authoritative, but not. And the mustache helps. I think the voice and the mustache.
Yeah,
It's funny because he was in Natural Born Killers, I think, too, in the diner scene. But he doesn't have the mustache.
Yes, he was. Yep, he was one of the guys that came in on the truck, and I think he's the guy. He's the guy that got his fingers cut off, and
Yeah, that's James Gavin, dude. He's awesome. And same thing like Wesley Snipes here. Like when he's trying to do the thing with the bat and he puts it down the wrong way, and the whole bit with him doing the push-ups, that's a great runner, especially in like the spring training game where he in a live game, he hits it and he just gets out and starts doing the push-ups, and the other catcher looks at him. That kind of stuff is great.
Well, I really like the
sports
development. I like the development of the team and the characters, and as they grow through the training camp and everything, and the locker room scenes and everything. I'm always a fan of that kind of thing because that's team building. That kind of shit's important, and for me, that kind of camaraderie and everything, and even the scuffles and shit that people have, spending that much time together, and with a close knit group of people, you're gonna have a lot of emotions and shit. Various on various
you're in the shit
levels,
together. It's like
all
working in
across
the
the
kitchen
spectrum.
together,
Yeah,
working in an office together, working in a locker room together. Like you go through a lot together. So.
I can relate to a lot of that. So I do appreciate movies or shows that depict this kind of thing and do it well. So this is one of those that does
This is
do
a
it well.
great example of that because you get kind of why, again, it does a really good job of establishing the roles for everyone, so you recognize kind of what they are, but they do a good job of writing them with just enough depth so they're not like super stereotypical. Like for instance, Serrano could have been way over the top, but Dennis Haysbert is just so good and he has so much presence. The only complaint I can make is I have no idea. Like if you look at everyone else's locker, they have like sunglasses and some deodorant in it. You go to his locker, it's like the junior high girl in the 90s. They're like his decorated.
Right,
when did he get the time to do all that? We saw. Well, I'm just barely because I love all the Joe Boo stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I love all that shit. It all works for me. It's some of my funniest gags of the movie. I think Haysbert absolutely fucking crushes. He is. It's just awesome. But I just think it's funny that no one else has really a done up locker, and he has all of the. I mean, very elaborate setups. He has a setup behind it with stones and everything.
Right.
Like not even just in the locker, they let him have an ottoman basically with more setup on it with the little rocks. Where after Eddie does the shot, he puts it down on it.
Right.
Maybe they all believed in Joe Boo a little bit by the end, but I definitely loved all of the Joe Boo stuff. I thought that was great. I mean, all the getting cut stuff was pretty good. Again, Serrano, he did the snake thing, which was great, to like try to like bless the locker. And then Willie Mays Hayes got the little snake and then kissed it and weirded it out.
Yeah.
And then he goes outside, he does a dance, and you can tell how athletic Wesley Snipes is when he does that little moonwalk. And it's cool because he was in the Michael Jackson joint, he did the moonwalk there. So that was a nice little like callback to that too. And even like sets up Dorn being a dick, right? He fakes out Rick with the fake whatnot, and then when Rick goes in there to lose office, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good scene.
And he throws it, and he just like you see the dent in the locker. It's just,
and I love how mellow the coach was. He was just sitting there the whole time.
Unflappable. The man is unflappable.
Yeah.
He just sits there like a walrus, right? A little bit, because of the mustache or whatever. Where he's like, "Well, that's great. I like that, my players, but the problem is I didn't cut you." And then how in credit to him, Lou puts up a 0 of Dorn shit. The whole movie, like Dorn keeps trying to get away with his bullshit. He's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." He's just like, "Nope, I'm not gonna deal with that." I love all that part of it. I think it's just it's so great. And I guess we should give a little bit of credit to Berenger, right? Because he plays like Jake Taylor is this world weary guy. He's got to carry the romantic plot line a little bit. But when he sits at the joint and he look in his locker, he's like, "All right, Jake, it's just your life. whatever. And he opens that. I thought that was a great bit of acting.
I think he was probably the most solid as far as like, storyline actor, dramatic scenes in this movie or whatever. But it's Tom Berenger, dude. Not that any of
He
the other
carries
guys
it great,
have
dude.
done
He
it.
really does a really good job. I think he's because he doesn't maybe get some of the lines or the memorable moments, other than maybe the calling his shot. Maybe he gets lost a little bit, but he really does carry it, kind of, because Charlie Sheen and Wesley Snipes were kind of guys coming up a little bit. Corbin
Right.
Burnson was a TV guy from LA Law. Like this was kind of really his show, to really show that right before like stuff like Sniper, The Substitute, kind of his little run he had there in the mid-90s.
They even said it, like Coach even said it to him, like, "Hey, it's counting on an old vet like you to lead this squad." And it's
Veteran
like, but it
presence.
was
I
so
think
true
he-
in the movie and outside of the movie too, though, right? Like inside and outside baseball there, because like the script needed him, but like the film needed him, and the actors around him kind of needed that. So it was pretty cool.
That calls back to the spring training line where Lou asked him, like,
I want the absolute truth here. Are you 100%?
Yeah, would I bullshit you about something like that?
You better. You want to make this team.
that's what Super's talking. The voice, the gravitas. He's a baseball manager, right? Like you just believe it.
Yeah, 100%, dude.
I know it's great acting, but like he just pulls it off just absolutely.
And shout out
just,
to everyone who understands how to spit when playing the spit. It's a big thing in this movie. It's a baseball thing 100%. Not everyone can do it. Shout out to those who can.
Got to be a spitter.
because most of them learned with Big League Chew, probably. Or so that's me.
Big League Chew. Yes.
Big League Chew, dude.
The BLC.
Had a lot of it. All
dude.
right. So spring training is over, and it's time to head back to Cleveland because Cleveland rocks. This is when we meet Jake's ex, Lynn. We talked about this. It sets up the romantic plot line here. What did you guys think about Jake and Lynn romance? Was it funny? I personally like that they use that to bring up and tell Jake's past. The illegitimate child with the stewardess, the threesomes, this kind of radical playboy that they make him out to be. It's kind of cool because we kind of lived it through this storyline. It would have been cooler if we got to see it, but we lived it through the storyline. I think that really set up kind of, all right, we got this guy who's now like mature.
Well, I mean, her body is much better than hers, but you are not necessarily wrong. It does a great job of setting up who Jake Taylor is. It does give some credit to Rene Russo. I think it existed a little more in the original script because it was supposed to end with Jake and Lynn's wedding. So this was kind of supposed to be our through line. And when they realized that everyone cared about the team more than this individual relationship, some of it got kind of left on the cutting room floor. But it's fine. I mean, Rene Russo gets some good lines. I think memorably one from the trailer is when he's talking about having to bang Miss Muffler or a fuel injection or whatever.
What about the night you had in Detroit with Miss Fuel Injection?
Well, what was I supposed to do? She bet me $50 she had a better body than you, and I had to defend her
Oh,
honor.
what a bunch of bullshit! I have a much better body than she does.
She's right.
I would say at the end, I'm a little questionable. Like she pulls her ring off and shows him like the empty ring finger at the very end. So does that mean if he hadn't won the game, she wouldn't have pulled it off? Like, did she pick her husband based on him winning a sporting event? I'm just saying.
I mean, they banged, right? There was hardcore BE, they bang, and then it's kind of like, okay,
Hardcore
she was like,
BE. I mean,
undone.
hardcore
a lot of hardcore
BE.
BE.
I will say, like the my least favorite part of the whole flick is when he tries to follow her home from the library and goes to that dinner party. Although it's great because when he first tries to go in there, he hesitates before the elevator and then goes to a bar or a diner and has a couple of beers and then goes back. So that is super relatable. But when he's in there, it's probably the only part of the movie that gets a little bit cringy. When her boyfriend, beau, fiance, whatever, is like, oh, stay away from her. Like that whole bit at the end. It's fine, but it's paid off, I think, when he sees her at the game and he follows her home in the bullpen car. Him following her home in that bullpen car with the Indians cap and everything, and then paying off the Moby Dick storyline is great. That is just great writing. I'll stand by this being an extremely well written flick.
100%, dude. That, and it's funny, and it ties it back in with him reading the, yes, very, very good stuff there, man, for sure. So overall grade on Jake's romance. You with it or you against it?
6.5. Necessary evil.
Yeah, I'm right there with it, man. I think it fits, and they didn't really overdo it, but there was sometimes, especially with the way the soundtrack, like maybe they could have picked a better soundtrack or something to go behind it because it kind of like, I don't want to say it was like montage style, but like it kind of flowed with it and shit. And it was just like, all right, now this movie switched over from
It
comedy
felt,
to,
yeah, perfunctory a little bit. Like they felt they had to have a romantic plot line. So it felt like maybe a little shoehorned in or something. But Renee Russo is great, so I don't take anything away from her.
Then we've got the introduction of the announcer, Harry Doyle, all time epic role here. We see a bunch of games where the Indians are not very good. And Bob Euchre's performance as Harry Doyle is literally legendary. Am I right? I mean, this is just the stuff everything's made of. Like, this is incredible.
I don't know. You might be just a bit outside.
Great,
uh,
dude.
He improv most of this. So I mean, Euchre just absolutely slays everything about it. The whole idea he's got the Jack Daniels next to him the whole time. Everything he comes up with. I especially love like it's Rick Vaughn's first perform. Like he comes out for his career debut and he calls him a rookie sensation. He is a perfect caricature of every overeager announcer you've ever heard. It's just absolutely spectacular and perfect. And if we were going to do power rankings for the movie or whatever, Bobby Euchre's Harry Doyle would be way at the top. What do you think, Soup? You like the Harry Doyle and this infinite bottle of Jack?
yeah, you gave the MVP to what's his name, coach over there, man. But I think arguably a close runner up, if not right there, is Bobby Euchre, man.
Top tier. They're both in the top tier.
In this, and he's arguably maybe even my favorite character in this movie because it kind of takes you away from what's going on, but keeps you in what's going on, and it's a huge comedic presence. He's hilarious. He's completely hammered the whole time, and pretty much everything he does is funny and entertaining, and in classic Bobby Uecker style, man. And he just fits this role so well, man. And it's
It's
kind of
perfect.
it's kind of the glue that kind of ties some of these scenes together and shit. And it's necessary, and they couldn't have picked a better person to do this. And the way he played it, and just openly, pounding liquor and shit, like, and then just covering up the microphone, like, nobody's listening anyway. Like, just the little things like that are just so classic.
Oh, it's perfect, dude. And again, most of this was improv. So
That makes it even better, honestly. But like, dude, a lot of the jokes with some of the stands, like the guys with the Indian war paint and whatnot, like that whole runner wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for Bob Uecker. Like you needed Harry Doyle to make all that work, and then it got delivered. To the writer's credit, they recognized that, and it delivered in a big way later on in the movie with just the little things with like 7 people in the stadium and then like a packed house. But it's like it delivered, dude. And like I don't think a lot of that works without Harry Doyle. So just unbelievable performance here. I mean, all-time ages performance.
I'll compare it to Richard Dawson's performance in The Running Man, in that they're both very iconic for the movie, kind of unexpected, and they both had day jobs. Bob Uecker was, for a long time after this, still the announcer for the Milwaukee Brewers. Richard Dawson hosted Family Feud. They both kind of managed to transcend the characters they played, like necessarily on TV in a regular way, but you could recognize them for who they were, but they're still hysterical and awesome. Just a great job of someone kind of playing a version of themselves, right? A little bit. I think just one
Yeah.
of the best case examples of that. And ironically, I believe when David S. Ward casted him, no idea that they knew he was an elf. He had been a baseball player and he was an elf, and that's how he got the casting. He didn't actually know that Bob Uecker was an announcer for the Brewers. So Elf got it done for us. Never discount the ability of Elf to deliver. I mean, everything is great. I mean, like the Die Hard night, you could see that from the Bills, right? Like free admission to anybody who was alive the last time the Indians won the pennant. Them making the fake crowd
That's awesome.
noise.
That's
Like
just
when the season starts out, and again, great writing. They say, all right, when the season starts out, you can tell by the first batter how the season will turn out. The first batter is Willie Mays Hayes, who kind of like does a swinging accidental butt and beats it out. That's exactly how the season ends with Jake Taylor. And then after that happens, Harry Doyle looks at the press box and they all give him the thumbs up. And then after he gets picked off, they all give him the jerk off.
yeah.
That's just phenomenal. Just short inside baseball, just absolutely all the small stuff is just done so well in this flick. Again, maybe comparing a little bit to My Cousin Vinny, but I think that's what elevates it above your typical comedy, sports comedy, that kind of thing, is just all of the attention's meant to the little shit. I mean, when Lou gives him the speech before the season starts, and he tells him everyone is going to pick us to finish dead last. And he just wants him to eat a big giant shit burger and everyone gets excited. Man, I'm excited too, right? Like I'm just excited. I think the whole flick just does a great job of getting you in the right emotional place every time you need to be.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, why else did I dress like a banker tonight, man? I'm not
You
in a
are just like a banker. I mean,
not even
like
a
I can
fancy
barely
restaurant.
unsee like you might as well have a bow tie on, dude.
Yeah, I feel like a
So
bank,
funny.
man. So, I mean, but it's for the cause, and this is how committed to this movie I am.
The man committed to keeping sleeves, so I'll give you that, dude. You are keeping
I
the
do keep
sleeves
sleeves
there, so
because I'm
that's
outside and I don't want to get eaten up by the mosquitoes and shit. But flannel on top of tuxedo, man, still banker material.
right. It
Still,
should be flannel under tuxedo, really, and then you cut the tuxedo arms off. That's probably
that
how
would have been the
like
better.
that's probably the best look. I
Next,
did love everything about when Rachel tries to make it harder on the team. So she cuts the bus in the plane in the all the
man,
training equipment and everything. That is just a phenomenal runner. Dude, that plane is in that bus. That shit is rough, dude. The one part where the pilots are just duct taping the propeller is
super sketchy, dude. I wouldn't want to be in that airplane. But how about
Dude,
the
it's so bad.
jacuzzi or whatever, the ice, the tub or whatever? Doesn't he have to start it with like a
like a motor. It's an off. That's basically a motor, an off outboard motor for like a boat. That's what it
yeah,
is, and that's all they're doing, and it's kind of awesome.
whatever works.
Yeah, that plane. Everything about that is just.
They played it perfectly with just like building up the big bad here, or the evil character with the owner. And they played that perfectly with like going back to her and then go back to the team
She
dealing with,
literally
you
says,
know,
"Well, what else can we take away? Well, we haven't taken away
yeah.
everything. The hot water they take away eventually, and
Uh,
then when she comes in the locker room, that's great too. Like the whole bit she goes through, like she's knocking on tubs,
Dude, he
she's
stole
slapping
the running
Pedro's
the
ass.
lockers, man.
Yeah, Lou can't care. Like whatever, dude. He's too old for that. He's not gonna go down.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I mean, you really can't blame him for hanging dong, but you can blame Harris for stealing Jobu's rum. How great is you see him in the background? He comes, he looks around, no one's there, drinks the rum, up your butt, Jobu, walks outside, bat in the head, and then you see him putting the ice back on.
This was set up so perfectly because he's like, the rum ain't gonna last around here, and there was this religious tension between the two, which was really cool. And it sets it up perfectly where he's like, it's very bad to steal Jobu's rum, very bad, and it's like the one thing they kind of, I know what they're going for, but like not the best casting there for him, but they make it work.
It's actually kind of great though, because he's like, all right, so like, oh, he's like,
clearly
oh,
not
Jesus,
Hispanic.
I like him very much, but he help with curveball. And Harris is like, are you saying Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball? And that's where it all develops. That is
He
a
makes it
great
work, but he's
moment, dude.
he makes it work, but he's clearly not Hispanic. He could have just as easily played a general in the Congo. So it's like and
Yeah.
it probably would have been better suited.
I
So
don't
that's
think
the
he
only
had to
thing. But
be
he makes it
Hispanic.
work.
A voodoo dude
Yeah,
could be.
they call him Cuban. But it's funny because the ultimate payoff is he's only voodoo because he thinks he can help him hit the curveball. Like he would actually rather be just a straight Christian, but he doesn't think Jesus
Great.
can help him hit a curveball.
And you gotta love this with Harris. It was set up perfectly. It delivers with the bat. And it's like, yeah, dude, Jobu is real, So
Hey,
it's very bad to
bartender,
steal Jobu's rum.
Joe Boo needs a refill.
That is, dude, that is iconic. I will stand by that being an iconic line.
There's so
And the
many
fact that
lines
Harris just gets hit in
in the
the head with the bat, and you hear the music a little bit, and then by the end, like when Pedro hits a home run, Harris is like the first guy out there to give like, yeah, Joe Boo, go Joe Boo. Like when he hits a home run at the end and everything. So again, it goes to the team building and all that stuff.
Another thing I like about that character is he's a pitcher, but he does all those weird tricks. Like he's got Vaseline and weird lubes.
Vagisil. It's actually Vagisil, I believe.
Yeah, weird lubes and
He rubs a
shit.
little jalapeno up his nose.
Yeah, throw a little hot
Whatever
pepper.
it takes, man.
Right. I was a pitcher also. I never did anything like that, but I could throw a mean
Probably
curveball.
should have, apparently.
Probably should have. Maybe I'd be doing something
Either
else.
one of those to give you another 2 inches break on your curveball.
right?
Could have been Kenny Powers over here.
Or at least get a full on, my cousin Vinny. Just if you get that big of a joint of lard, I'm pretty sure that'll help the ball.
Do you think that actually works? Do people actually do that? I'm sure
Well,
it's
maybe
been
you could
done,
just
but
substitute the ball for the ball of lard. I mean, how really far can they hit the ball of lard? Let's be honest.
little tricks like that to cheat and whatnot. Do you think that
What?
yeah, obviously it's been done, but do you think people still do that?
They
And,
try. Oh yeah, 100%. Like that's actually been a thing in baseball where
like
they crack down
Tom
on.
Brady deflating a ball, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's been cracked down on. So that was the thing, dude. That's
Well, I remember the corked bats was a thing. When they were corking the bats.
not probably as much of that these days, but definitely more on the pitcher side, really. Because that's
I think I
definitely
feel like you can get away with a lot more on the pitching because,
yeah.
who's to know if you got a little bit of hot sauce on your finger, dude, or whatever, a little KY on your fucking two knuckle.
And see, it's like I know that Harry Doyle says KY ball. I think it's Major League 2. I think it's a sequel, but at one point he definitely says KY ball. Maybe it is in Major League 1. But
hey, if you hit this ball, I'll let you name it, man. And then what's he call it? The masturbator.
that is definitely Major League 2, and we will let me defend that at a later date because I will defend that.
After all that stuff, we basically get everything else set up before the big final showdown against the New York Yankees.
Well, just in case you haven't noticed, and judging by the attendance, you haven't. The Indians are threatening doing something here. It just sets it up so well once again. We've already talked about kind of Rachel coming into the locker room, them kind of building the DIY hot tub and everything like that. I just think it's an excellent setup for when we finally get the scene on the road. Charlie goes into Lou's office and he's like, she'll never let you win, basically, and lays out the plan. And then we get the ultimate final setup for the third act where Lou brings out the joint we all know, of the owner of Rachel Phelps, and he can rip every time we win, we take a piece off. I mean, how cool is this?
It's so cool, dude. It's so cool.
It
I love
shouldn't
this.
be.
What
It
a
probably
great way
shouldn't
to-
be as good as it is, but it's just phenomenal because he says we only need one thing to make it all come together, and this becomes the thing. And
Yeah,
honestly, it
set up
actually
for-
plays. This is the one part that plays a little bit better. If this is actually her ultimate plan, she's like, "Oh yeah, just let them see my titties. If this makes, if we can win yeah, sure, they can see my titties if that helps me, helps us win the playoffs. They were already out there. Why not?"
Dude, if that's all it took from the Bills to win the Super Bowl, I'd be flashing half the country, man.
Well, all right. How about this? What if the Bills did that American Express commercial? Because that shit is awesome.
That's so funny.
That is one of the greatest, and I don't know that I know they obviously endorsed it, but they should have used that. They should still be using
They
that.
should still
Like
use it.
American
It was kinda
Express.
like- it was weirdly placed because it didn't have any going in or going out of to like really build it up or let you know what the heck it was. It was kind of misplaced, but dude, it's so funny and it works so well, but it's just kind of in a weird spot, right? It's just like out of nowhere, they just like,
Well, if you're looking for the little green home run hitter,
it's just, you know what I mean though? It's like there's no like intro into it or intro out of it. That's what's weird. There's no reference leading into it that like giving you a clue it's coming. It's just like the most bizarre thing, but it works and it's super funny.
I mean, American Express now should just use that ad.
I wish they would.
Does anybody use American Express? Isn't it all like
Business
Visa?
people, it's a business card. It's definitely a business.
I have American Express.
You have to pay it off every month. That's the difference between an Amex and a regular card. I mean, everything about that was great. And I like the idea that we haven't really talked about it a lot, but establishing the fans. You have like the construction worker guys, you have the groundskeeper guys, but it's cool as the team gets better, just to show the montage, they get more people in the stands. And then especially even towards the end, everyone in the bar starts kind of partying together. And I thought it was a really cool way to show what happens in the city when everyone's rooting for the same team and it kind of comes together. And I thought that was a great job of just getting you excited for the kind of final act.
Yeah, and it progressed really well because at the beginning they're like, "Oh, who are these fucking guys?" And then, the subtitles like
Even
the
the Japanese guys.
yeah,
Yeah,
eventually,
they're shitty. They're still shitty. Yeah.
right, and as the movie goes on, it gets a little bit more positive as far as the feedback from from those particular groups of fans go, and as you said, the crowd builds and the fan base grows, and good times are had by all.
And I guess we need to point out the idea that Dorn's wife sees him cheating live on TV, and her reaction is to get dialed up to the nines and go bang Ricky Vaughn. I guess she did a good job, and like that's the worst person in terms of like her husband, like that Dorn would, but it works, right? Because then Dorn goes off in the finals. Like, is she the smartest person alive? I'm not quite sure. I didn't even recognize her, dude. She got dialed up. She looked really good. I'm just saying.
Well played, in a very mischievous kind of way.
Check, please. Like very clearly, like super cool. And I literally, I just remember back in the day, I didn't recognize her because I didn't quite get it because she looked so different, all dolled up and everything. Like, yeah, I didn't get it until like she walked out and Jake recognizes her, and that's when I got. I was like, oh shit, that's I understand what I'm supposed to be getting now.
Yeah.
It's super great, dude. And it's like, and the way it came together, you're like, oh, when she leaves and she's like, hey, Jake, it's like, oh, dang. So you don't get the big kind of confrontation. At least you kind of get it between Dorn and Rick, but it's not what you think. And I think that actually makes it better.
I mean, that's kind of the whole end of the flick, right? Like we're here at the end. We've already talked about like Serrano wants a live chicken. He gets KFC. He's just gonna have to deal with that. I mean, I am a big fan of the KFC. I do like the skin and the whatever. Go on forever.
Well, skin's the
about
best part,
KFC.
dude. When you're talking about
It
the
really is. I don't like harmony at all. And I do you like
Don't
the
give
idea
many
that
imitation gravy, dude.
you like the idea that Eddie Harris kind of came on, so then he started, so Rick could come in and save it, or would you have preferred it to maybe be the other way around? I mean, you kind of had to have it so Rick Vaughn was like saving the day, but
yeah,
everything about this finale really works for me. Because they do enough with Jake calling his shot and then bunting. It subverts expectations enough. I think they can pretty much get away with anything.
That nails it. And then bringing in the Wild thing, it gives that whole chant, the crowd. I was just waiting for somebody to flash them. That's the only thing that was missing. I mean, it was literally.
Oh, I'm sure it was
so
in there.
great.
I don't think it was missing. I'm sure it was in there.
It was probably there. But the thing I love about it too is that it sets that up, and then he comes in and they set up because both times he faced that batter handlebar mustache guy from the Yanks, he got a not even a home run, a bases loaded home run both times. So bases were loaded again, and it was really cool to see. I think they just set it up so well where it had to go that way.
Yeah, that's
Agreed.
probably the one spot where the script falls victim to this has to happen. But I mean, Haywood, that mustache and everything is so great. I mean, they bring in the Duke. This guy threw at his own kid in a father-son game. They do such a good job of establishing absolutely everything that it all pays off here, right down to, like I said, the idea of talking about the first hit of the year would be like a little bit of bunt. Jake Taylor calling his shot. Phenomenally well done. There are very few holes you can poke in this one. I love it absolutely, and I still get chills watching it. Dude, Serrano hitting that home run. Fuck you, Joe Boo. I'll do it myself. He hits a home run and he walks around the bases with the bat in his hand, and they film it. Apparently, that was because Dennis Haysbert actually hit it out, and he was so excited that he hit it out. He ran around the bases with the bat like he was just pumped up, and he forgot, and so they left it in. And
works.
Everything about that works, right? I mean, even Charlie Sheen, it maybe hurts a little bit after the fact, knowing Charlie Sheen kind of becomes a crazy dude. He's so good here.
I don't
Everybody's
think that
absolutely
matters
perfect
at
in the
all. I mean,
roles.
because
No,
Sheen's
I
been
don't think so either.
I mean, and this is early. I mean, I'm sure he was probably fucked up as hell making this movie too. He's Charlie Sheen, but he was way younger, and at this point, he was still kind of like building his career. And he
Yeah, I'm
played it.
talking more like he's talked about like doing steroids to throw faster and talking about throwing 90 miles an hour. So I'm talking more about that than like his later like Tiger Blood.
Oh, right on,
Adonis
yeah.
DNA kind of shit, but because he was like really into this, because apparently he was a decent prep prospect back in the day, so he could throw like low 80s, but he tried to like really juice up to throw 90s here. So
Yeah, I can totally see that. Not that he necessarily needed to. I mean, as long as he
no,
can make
good.
like you're throwing a ball, But he played it really well, dude, and he committed, man. He had he shaved his head into that weird shit. You never see anybody rocking that. If I had short hair, I might do it because I knew it would grow back in like a week or two. but because I have the hair that I do, I'm not going to cut my hair like that for for one of
Yeah, it's
these.
a grunt cut. It's a full grunt cut. I'll give it that.
Yeah, but you never see anybody rocking a haircut like that. I don't think I've
That's
ever
a
seen.
Vegemite. I mean, no one does Vegemite anymore. That's the problem.
A
I mean,
great
it is
character.
awesome though, right? I mean, it all works out. You expect it's going to work out, but it does so in an unexpected way. And I think again, that's what pays it off and elevates this above your typical sports movie.
Yeah, I'll can
I mean,
confirm.
because they set it up right, like he's going to point it out. He's calling his shot, doing it with the bunt, which they also set up.
And it's so funny because they're like, boy, you really got a hold of that one there. Like it's just so it's so yeah, it's a funny thing and it works so well. No, they did that masterfully this movie, just kind of bringing it back. Before we get to the big game here, I think we should point out how the movie establishes the Cleveland fans. I mean, they introduce a few right off the bat and keep coming back to them throughout the movie. But I think this helps. It helps us establish more of an emotional connection with the team, right? You feel like you're part of the Cleveland fan base.
It puts you in there. Yeah, it definitely builds a connection yeah, you feel like you're right in the mix
Like
there,
we
man.
talked about, yeah, the dudes like these guys ain't so fucking bad, and they're still shitty. The groundskeeper guys and the guys even in the like in the outfield, right? They set that up in Major League Two a little bit, but it works well here because no one's around them, right? They keep trying, oh, too high, whatever. They're arguing against each other, and then by the end, the entire crowd is packed in around them. So I think it's a
Yeah.
great way to kind of set up and make us sympathize with the Cleveland fans.
That brings us to our final epic showdown against the Yankees. Let's be honest here. I mean, you never actually thought that the Indians were going to lose, did you? I mean, did a glimmer of thought like this would be so Cleveland if they just like Jake like blows out his knee and he doesn't get the first down there, he doesn't get home safe to the first base, I mean, that's felt like it. Just a smidge.
Everything Harry Doyle here works. The idea that he's like, oh, is he a convicted felon? No, no, well, it feels like he should be. Like, oh, when he looks like a party, like he has so much nose hair, he looks like a party favor when he sneezes. There's some phenomenal Harry Doyle lines in here. Again, the dude
100%.
throwing at his kid in a father-son game. It sets it up again, especially because Rick Vaughn couldn't get Hayward out before. In an epic mustache. I mean, that is an epic handlebar mustache by Hayward.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The best.
And the end is fine, right? I mean, that again, the movie was originally supposed to end with Jake and Lynn's wedding. Do you prefer the ending we got, or would you rather have seen their wedding? What do you think, Jamie G?
I think I probably prefer this. It did seem a bit just like it just kind of like cut to credits. It was a little choppy in a way. So I think maybe it would have been maybe better, but this is fine to me because you're coming off the high of they just won the game, and anybody who's ever played sports is like, oh my God, yes, that's like you dream of that as a kid. It's super cool.
Yeah, I love Ricky and Wesley kind of pointing at each other. Realistically, they probably could have done the wedding and just played it under the credits, and it would have been fine. Maybe you didn't have to scrap it otherwise, but I like the idea of the final scene being after they just won the one. Not what do you think, Soup? You like the way they went out?
Yeah, I do. I prefer that way over a wedding. Who wants to end a movie with a fucking wedding?
You go on, have some fun becoming a man.
I mean, that's stupid. It will take the momentum away from the movie. Yeah, end on a high note, like winning the game, like the way they did. They don't need the wedding. They met on the field. Everybody knows what's going on there, and
She
it's
took her ring off. She literally looked at Jake and took her engagement ring off. I don't know. That's a strong sign. Let's just put it that way.
Before we start spinning wheels and handing out awards, anything else about Major League that you guys would like to mention?
I am a big fan of the sequel. I will stand by it. I will defend it. And Walton Goggins is in the third one. So you should check out both of those if they're available where you're checking stuff out. 2 is underrated. Yes, it is a rehash of the first movie, but isn't that what people want? I just walk back to get the part.
I like Major League too. I think I definitely have seen the third, but I'm not very familiar with it at all. And I don't think is any of the cast in it.
Yeah, you have you have the lesser guys. Like basically, you don't have Willie Mays Hayes, Rick Vaughn, or Jake Taylor.
Well, technically, you don't have Willie Mays Hayes and and 2. I mean, it's now Omar Epps. It's kind of like a weird thing.
Same character, different actor. Yeah, and I don't
Yeah,
like
but I
when
mean, that is actually one of the best like recastings ever. I will stand by.
I'll give it that, but I still don't like a recast. You know.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So you think you're sponge-worthy?
Yes, I think I'm sponge-worthy. I think I'm very sponge-worthy.
You know you're nuts with these sponges.
Run down your case for me again.
She said I wasn't sponge-worthy. Wouldn't waste a sponge on me.
No doubt, dude. That's very cool. And in honor of Elaine Bennis, creator of the second greatest system of all time, we always determine our featured review whether or not it was sponge-worthy. Mills, update us on the supply of the sponges and tell us if you think Major League is in fact sponge-worthy. Think it might be a yes. Spoiler alert. I'm going to take a stab in the dark, and yeah, I think you'll like this one.
Yeah, well, great job with you with the spoiler alert there. Jamie G, you have picked up additional sponges, so I believe you have 6.25. The soup has 1, and I have 4.5. I'm going to go first here. Yeah, this is sponge-worthy. No need to really beat around the bush. This is 100% sponge-worthy. No surrender, no hesitation. Jamie G, how about yourself?
Yeah, it is. And it's not even because I have a whopping 6.5 sponges. I mean, I'm like literally drowning in them, but it is because it is literally that good. Love this one. Super fun to watch. Enjoyed it a lot. We'll definitely check this out anytime it's on. A good one that you forget about. Shout out Major League.
All right, Soup, you got 1 sponge right now. You spent it on this.
As much as I hate to get rid of a only sponge, Major League's worthy of that. Major League is sponge worthy, even if it's your last fucking sponge, man. So yes.
100%. So that is officially sponge worthy. We are worthy. We are worthy.
We are worthy. Well, we're going to finish up our discussion of Major League here with our grades. And as you know, we grade everything on a scale, every single thing we watch on a scale of 0 to 100 space bucks. Soup, give some space bucks to Major League.
Major League, because of its longevity and everything, I'm going to give it a lot of bucks here. I'm going to give it a good 96 bucks.
Ooh, 96 space bucks. JVG, how about yourself?
Because it holds up, and it's one of those you can just throw on when in doubt. And if it's on, you're probably going to leave it on. You know, it's an awesome movie. Whatever. We've already said everything we need to say about it. 96 space bucks for fucking Major League, man.
Well, this movie came out, I believe, in 1989, but I'm not going to give it 89 space bucks. I'm going to bump it up and split the difference. From when Major League 2 came out in 94, I'm going to give it a 92 space bucks.
Jamie G says 92 space bucks. And to be honest, I tried to split the difference myself. I really couldn't. Ricky Vaughn is number 99. I'm going 99 space bucks on Major League. There's a couple of minor problems with it, but this is right there at the top of my pantheon of best sports movies. My favorite baseball movie. I'm doing it. 99 space bucks, Major League.
Nice. I'm glad you went higher than I did, man. Because I felt like maybe it was just your reaction. But you know what? Do we have unlimited space bucks? Not like sponges, right? You can always make space bucks.
Yeah, you always. Yeah, I mean,
we're self-stimulating our economy here, so yes.
Yeah, you can trade futures and short. Future space bucks currency. It's an open market.
Love it.
Free market. Good call there, Mills. We like it. You'll be known as Wild Thing from here on out. Before we decide what to watch for our next episode, we need to once again refresh the old sponge supply with the questions 3.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
3 questions. What if you get a question wrong? Then you are cast into the gorge of eternal peril.
Ask me the questions. I am not afraid.
And we shall watch and pray.
Jamie G is excited because he has written the question 3, and here's how it works. Jamie G has written the questions for Soup and myself. Soup and me will get 1 point for each right answer. Whoever gets the most points win. In the event of a tie, we will have tiebreaker questions. The winner gets a half a sponge, while Jamie G gets a half a sponge for writing the Jolinski and gentlemen. If you wish to cross the bridge of death and end the episode, you must answer us these questions 3. Jamie G, go ahead and ask me the questions first, dude. I'm ready.
I'm gonna go start with Magnum Mills here. Mills, who is the farm team for the Philadelphia Phillies?
Oh. Lehigh. I am going with Lehigh.
Question number 2 for Mills. Wesley Snipes is one of your all-time favorite actors, but he has many talents. He's a man of many talents. What was the name of the book he wrote and released in 2017?
I have no idea. I am just going to go with Wesley Wright. Yeah, baby. I don't know. Wesley Wright, yeah, baby.
Snipes wrote a book?
The third and final question for Magnum Mills, at least for the moment. One of your favorite rappers of all time released a holiday album. What was it titled?
All right. Well, I'm going to go with, in that case, give me Ghostface Killer.
Soup. It is up to you.
Bring it.
And
Let's go.
in similar fashion here, who is the pro team the Buffalo Bisons are the farm team for?
Oh, man. I want to say something. Give me the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pittsburgh Pirates, Soup says. Name another movie Charlie Sheen stars in with Tom Berenger.
Platoon.
Says Platoon. And finally, who are the only 2 people who have been to every single Fish show ever?
I think it's Trey and Mike. I'm going Trey and Mike.
Going Trey and Mike. Here we are with our results. Going back to Mills, the question was, who is the farm team for the Philadelphia Phillies? Mills says Lehigh. We're going to let him have this one because it is, in fact, Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. Good job there, Magnum Mills. The second question was, Wesley Snipes is one of our all-time favorite actors. Mills loves the guy, but he's a man of many talents. What was the name of the book he wrote and released in 2017? Mills said Wesley Wright, yeah, baby, which would have been a great book, but it was, in fact, wrong. The answer is Talon of God, and it actually got high praise as a great storyline. Lastly here, one of Mills' all-time favorite rappers released a holiday album. What was it titled? Mills just simply said Ghostface Killer. The correct answer was DMX Xmas. A DM Xmas. Let's move on to Soup. Soup, who is the pro team the Buffalo Bills are the farm team for? Soup answered the Pittsburgh Pirates. The correct answer, that is wrong, Soup. The correct answer was, in fact, the Toronto Blue Jays. Thought I could bait you into picking the Cleveland Indians or the Guardians there. It didn't work. You went down to Pittsburgh. Also cool. Worked for me. And I said, name another movie Charlie Sheen stars in with Tom Berenger. You said Platoon. That is correct. Good job there. And finally, who are the only 2 people who have been to every single Fish show ever? You said Trey and Mike. The correct answer is Trey and Mike. Fishman had one too many and was lost hiking a cliffside and missed a show. And of course, Paige wasn't a member at the beginning. Tough running there, but you got it right. So that gives 2 points to the Soup Deuce. Soup, congratulations. You took it down 2-1. Do you got anything you want to say?
Yeah, I'm just glad to collect a couple sponges, man, because I just used up my last one, and I'm a guy that likes to use a sponge, so
That's good soup.
Good call, dude. We know Soup will put those sponges to good use.
We're trying to get to a movie.
You better get going. You don't want to miss 1 second of that movie.
Is it that good?
It's the best goddamn movie I've ever seen in my life. Dude hangs dumb.
I told you!
I missed that.
Guys, it is time to figure out what we're going to watch next time. We've got yet another system we use for this, and it starts with spinning yet another wheel to determine the category that we're going to nominate from. Mills, go ahead and spin the wheel for us.
There's one thing I can do. It's spin the wheel. She's spinning, she's spinning, she's spinning. Ooh, interesting. All right, post-2000s comedy. So a comedy released after the year 2000 takes us out of our comfort zone a little bit. This is going to be an interesting one. Post-2000s comedy.
Wow. All right, well, please enjoy this quick word from our sponsors while we come up with our nominees.
Welcome to the Portillo's Chocolate Cake Shake Power Hour.
We are ready to go, and here's how it works. We'll all get to nominate one thing to watch next time, and we all get one vote. You can't vote for your own pitch. If there's a tie, then it is up to the big, giant wheel in the sky. The Soup Deucer is up first, followed by me, Jamie G. Esquire the fifth. And then finally, Magnum Mills will bring up the rear. Soup, send us on our way.
I'm going to send us on our way, and we're talking about the wheel in the sky, and we are going sky high here, man. Here is a movie in a genre that we haven't really touched on, which I think we'll have a really good time with if it ends up being the one, man. 2001 flick starring Method Man and Redman. It is a movie called How High. I haven't thought about it in a while, and I had a conversation about it this morning with a couple other guys, and I was like, oh man, I haven't seen that in forever. We ripped off a couple of one-liners from it, and I was like, man, that's a good movie. So I'm glad this came up and it panned out the way it did. It's my pitch, dude.
I hate to do it to you, Soup, but I'm going to bring out a whammy here. I'm going back to 2003, like the peak of Will Ferrell, and I'm doing Old School. Old School is one of the greatest movies ever made. You're my boy, Blue. There's so much here. I think everyone who reaches adulthood and transcends into their late 30s and into their 40s, they want to live this movie. We're looking for this. If you can find it, you're a happy person. Yeah, dude, this is as good as it gets. Absolutely hilarious. Tons of stuff to talk about here. An instant classic. I mean, I like you, man. You're funny, but I like you, man. There's a dart in your throat, dude. Let's do Old School. You're my boy, Blue.
Are you saying I got a dart in my throat, man?
I like you, man. Fucking crazy.
Man, you're crazy, but I like you, man.
I kind of hate you because Old School was, I narrowed it down to 3. Old School was one of the 3. I guess I'm going to also keep it full Will Ferrell and maybe some Sex Panther, dude. How about some Anchorman? I love Lamp. There is a lot to love in this. You get introduced to a great group of character actors who we are still watching today. Laugh out loud moments all the way around. Christina Applegate absolutely fucking kills it. I'm going Anchorman, dude. I'm not going to defend the sequel, but I will say.
I'm Ron Burgundy. You stay classy, San Diego.
It's time to vote here, and we do it in reverse order in which we nominated. Mills, you're up first, then me, then finally the Soup Deucer could potentially be the decider or the master decider. Mills, you're up first here.
Jamie G, I think Old School is a better movie than How High, but I'm going with How High. Just the idea of Hector Elizondo, like when Redman's trying to like win the rowing job, and he sees some bomb in the sky. Hector Elizondo kills it. That whole there's Mike Apps, there's so many the Be Real showing up. But yes,
where's my powder at?
I'm going How High, dude. I'm going How High. I didn't think I would go there. I love Old School, but I think How High is just absolutely crazy to discuss and tons of fun. Jamie G, you are up next. So what do you got, man? You got Anchorman or How High?
I'm doing an app to flip a coin because they're both such great pitches. A is How High, B is Anchorman. The coin is flipping. It's incredible, but I did get tails. That is Anchorman. I literally voted. I'm not trying to force a thing here. I'm sorry. I'm going to go Anchorman.
All right, Jamie G goes Anchorman. That brings it up to the soup. You could go Anchorman and do the thing. You could go old school and throw it to the wheel.
All three of these are, I think all three of these are good enough to where we would have a good time with all of them. I'm really struggling with my conscience right now because I want to stay away from the wheel because last time the wheel didn't work out the way I wanted it
The
to.
wheel can be a bitch. I mean, it's not.
But
three great pitches.
Yeah, I hate it, and I don't want to say Milk was a bad choice, but I'm gonna have to say go fuck yourself, San Diego. I gotta go old school, dude. We're going streaking through the quad. I mean, there's no way I can decide between the two, really, but I can't make a decision. We have to let the wheel do it.
All right, we're spinning for it. Old school, how high, Anchorman. I don't think anybody can lose, but someone must win.
Wow.
Old school it is. All right, we are, yes. Jamie G, get us excited about old school.
I mean, come on, dude. This is going to be great. I mean, this is Will Ferrell at his absolute peak. Here we go again on our own, dude. Streaking through the quad. Lube, bath, like kiddie pool fights. Like, this is My Boy Blue, dude. Like, you cannot get enough of this. This is going to be awesome. Can't wait to watch this, dude. It's old school. It's The Godfather. And this is going to be a good one, man. Lots of stuff to talk about. We're going to have a blast doing this one.
Yeah, it's about time we, meandered into the 2000s, but just barely. So I think it's very on brand. Love it.
All of these movies were what, between like 2000 and 2003 or something?
Yeah, we really did quite venture
right on the cusp.
as far as we wanted to into the 2000s. We were trying, like we just baby steps.
Dipping our toe in.
We might as well have done What About Bob, because it was very just babies.
Oh, that would have been nice. Yeah, okay.
Wanted Weekend at Bernie's, but it was 90s.
Or Mannequin 2 on the run.
Mannequin 2, dude. I want those sunglasses. Thank you guys for checking out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We hope that you enjoyed this incredible episode. If you have any thoughts or feedback, we'd like to hear it. Some would say we'd love to. All you got to do is drop a comment or just get at us on our socials, and please just slide into those DMs. Give me a reason to look around and respond back if I so choose. Mills, please remind everyone where they can find us.
Well, what I would advise is don't leave anything up to Jamie G as far as very important stuff in your life. But other than that, as far as minor stuff, totally cool to check us out. Thank you very much for doing so. This has been Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find us wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. We are on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web at Dudes Watch Stuff. We like to keep it simple, just like the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. Seriously, if you had fun, please click the thumb. I'm Agnes Mills. He's Jamie G. We love you, dudes. Do the dude stuff. Dudes all the way down.
Us dudes abide. See you next time.
Hayes around third. He's going to try to score. Here comes the throw. He slides. He is safe. The Indians win it. The Indians win it. Oh, my God, the Indians.